California's coastline is a playground, famous for its sand and surf.
It's fun up there, but it's beautiful down here. All you've got to do is swap surfboards for these.
We're wearing bubble helmets, which basically allows us a bowl of air so we can talk in, breathe in, and talk to each other.
Just off the coast of California are these submarine forests, some of the ocean's biggest.
As well as every bit as fragile and intricate as a terrestrial forest. Only instead of seeing woodpeckers, bears, and deer, here we see seals and crabs and fish.
For harbour seals, the kelp forests are a playground. These secret gardens of giant kelp stretch along much of California's coastline.
A comparison between a tropical rainforest and a kelp forest is easy. Right now I'm at about 50 feet. The surface, although very sunny, is blocked by the canopy, so it's kind of dark and murky down here. So let's climb up what essentially is a tree, which happens to be the easiest tree I've ever climbed. Ha! And it bears fruit. Hello, Martha.
I'll go on up from here, right up into the canopy. You can see further up we go, thicker the canopy gets. It's much more lush. This is where the leaves of the trees are. Boy, it goes a long way. And these kelp plants keep on growing on the surface and can reach over 200 feet in length. The most popular kelp dweller is often seen at the surface. By reputation, sea otters are rather shy, so before going underwater, we tried our luck from the boat.
God, that thing looks brand new, doesn't it?
It's very young.
There must be a hell of a lot of air trapped in that hair. Look how buoyant she is, holding that one entirely out of the water.
She's having a really good clean, isn't she?
No kidding.
We could just sit here and watch them for hours, couldn't we?
Especially when you're a young one like that.
Much of their day is spent diving. To see that, we had to brave the cold water ourselves. Fabulous.
You can see so clearly. His feet pressed right up against your helmet. There he is. Hi there.
Hello?
Perfect place to hide. Can easily understand why they seek shelter in this stuff. The difference between this and looking for needles. Imagine staying in this water all the time. It's tough for me to stay in here a half an hour.
But sea otters seem impervious to the cold. Unlike other marine mammals who rely on blubber to stay warm, sea otters have none.
Sea otter is the world's smallest marine mammal. To keep warm in these, what I think is very cold water, they have to eat a lot of food. In fact, they eat 40% of their body weight every day. And if you just watch them for 5 minutes, see them dive, pick up some food, go up to the surface, eat it, dive again. They're constantly active.
He's carrying a piece of food. Can't quite tell what it is. Looks like part of a clamshell. I love the way they just pick them up and kind of porpoise their way to the surface. He's up there feeding now. Do you see him?
Buoyed up by their large lungs and the air in their coats, they're at ease on the surface. Crabs, clams and abalone are favourites. there's a place in California to go for good kelp, it's here in the Channel Islands. We're 30 miles offshore, and these volcanic islands are bathed in cool, clear oceanic water on which the kelp thrives. And because we're so far offshore, the kelp suffers very little from pollution. Indeed, it's in such good condition that it's now part of a national park.
So exactly what is kelp? Believe it or not, it's algae, huge algae. This particular one is appropriately named giant kelp, and under the right conditions can grow as fast as 2 feet per day, which makes it probably the fastest growing plant on Earth. So let's get to the bottom of all of this.
This may look like a whole load of roots, but in fact it's an anchor. And these don't penetrate the rock at all, nor do they absorb nutrients. And it's very important when a plant lands on a rock that it chooses a boulder as big as this one. Because if it lands on a pebble and settles, any amount of surge or the waves will just wash it away and it'll end up dead on the beach.
The vertical part of the plant, called a stipe, serves basically the same function as the trunk of a tree, only it does it in a very different way. Instead of a thick, heavy trunk, these are made up of multiple strands, which are relatively thin and extremely flexible and strong, much better suited to deal with currents and strong surges that might be caused by a storm at sea.
Well, that's the basic structure of a kelp plant, but it's not so easy for Mike and I to work in this. In fact, Mike, where are you? I keep on getting glimpses of red. I'm over here.
I'm not sure where I am, but I think I'm headed toward you. I see your cable now. There you are. I felt you before I saw you.
This is extraordinary, isn't it?
Amazing stuff.
Swimming through the canopy was always a bit of a struggle, but worth it. Giant kelp houses lots of animals that were new to us. Kelp plants are strong and resilient, but they do have a weakness. Their broad blades offer an inviting surface to a host of small animals, which, if left unchecked, eventually smother the plant. Tiny encrusting growths are the chief culprits. Senoritas, cleverly camouflaged for their own protection, are important to the health of the kelp. They keep a check on these spreading colonizers.
A true expert of camouflage, the giant kelp fish. It's hard to spot. It not only looks like a kelp blade, it behaves like one, waving in the current.
By contrast, the Garibaldi advertises itself. Ritual displays help to define boundaries between neighbouring territories. The bright colour is a conspicuous signal that can be seen at a distance. It warns others to keep clear.
The kelp forest supports countless thousands of fish. Blacksmiths are particularly common here. Their specialty is picking plankton, which is abundant. Open spaces separate stands of dense forest, revealing the scale of this incredible algae.
It's not only the adult fish that do well here. Kelp forests serve as nurseries for juveniles. At this stage, they're extremely vulnerable. The dense canopy offers at least a little protection.
This is one of the most familiar of the kelp-related fish. It's called a sheephead. As you can see, the California sheephead is relatively unafraid of divers, which unfortunately makes them an easy target for spear fishermen. And they've been the target of many. Which is very unfortunate for the kelp forest as well, because this particular fish is a major predator on the sea urchins, which, when their numbers increase, can wipe out a kelp forest like this.
Leaving what is aptly called an urchin barren. But having eaten the plants they depend on, the urchins run out of food and die off. In time, the kelp forest should regenerate. This one hasn't suffered yet. It's a pristine forest, thick with giant kelp and all its dependents. In it, we had time to explore, as if taking a stroll in a wood, always on the lookout for something new.
There's a bat ray
Where?
just behind the kelp. No, he's gone.
It's so frustrating, because these bat rays are very well hidden in the sand. As you approach, shoot off and start flying away. And it's too late. Keep on missing them.
And they do know how to fly, you have to admit that. God, they're amazing.
They're beautiful, aren't they? It's quite exquisite seeing them fly through the trees, isn't it?
That's exactly what they're doing, yes.
Bat rays do look a little prehistoric, which isn't so odd. They belong to the ancient family of animals, which includes sharks.
Now, here's an unlikely member of a group of animals we all know. Most people think of sharks as fairly big fish. Big, sharp teeth. Eat pretty much whatever they want and don't worry about being eaten themselves. But they're not all that way. This is a horn shark. So named because in front of each of its two dorsal fins is a spine or horn that gives it a protection against being eaten. You can see the mouth of the horn shark, very unconventional for a shark. Instead of sharp teeth, it has flat crushing plates. Obviously, it's a very benign shark as well.
That was a juvenile horn shark. Now, when she grows to be fully mature, 2 to 3 feet long, she'll start producing eggs, which is amazing enough. But the eggs she produces are quite bizarre. Looks more like a drill bit than an egg to me, and think of the size of this compared to the size of the female. When she lays it, it's very soft and pliable. She lays it, picks it up in her mouth, takes it over to a rock, wedges it well down into the rock. So the developing horn shark is completely safe from being eaten.
One of the reasons so many fish live in a kelp forest is because it provides an excellent shelter. Just adjacent to a kelp forest are vast sand flats like this one. And if some of the fish that live in the bottom of the kelp forest were to venture out onto the sand flats, they could be in trouble because of this. The slight depression you see in front of me is actually a shark called an angel shark, but it's no angel. What it's done is adapted to burying itself slightly in the sand, creating an amazing camouflage. By just fanning lightly, I can remove some of the sand and you can see the mottled body underneath. I don't know when this one's gonna leap out of the sand and vanish, so this could be short term, but you can see this is the skin of the animal. These are the markings. Now, I don't know what's gonna happen now, but I'm gonna try to lift him out of the sand. Starting with the tail. There's his tail. Well, at least you're starting to see what he looks like in terms of size. Ah! And he's off.
Nearby, but in much shallower water, we found another species of shark. These proved more difficult to get close to. They were shy and nervous. We had to be patient. Leopard sharks are sleek, streamlined, rather beautiful creatures. Like so many sharks, they tend to steer clear of man. In the case of the leopard shark, this is probably a wise move because they're considered good to eat. They cruise the coastline, roaming from bay to bay in search of small fish and crustaceans. Although they're often seen together, a group this size, in water this shallow, is unusual.
You know, every one of them is female.
So it's not a mating aggregation. What are they doing?
Good question. It's warmer up in the shallows. I know in the tropics, grey reef sharks do a similar thing, where a large group of females come in. They think it's because it decreases their gestation time in the warm water.
What do you mean they're coming into the shallows, warming up, increasing their metabolic rate? Sounds something to me.
There's something in
I'm
here.
convinced by that. They're certainly not feeding.
I haven't seen any of that either. Have another look.
But we got no further clues as to what was happening. Indeed, no one seems to know the answer, and research has only just begun.
The ocean has sculpted this coastline, creating a series of bays. Perfect for night dives.
Hang on, Mike. There's another corn shark egg case here.
Oh, well spotted.
It's just a question of whether there's anything in it.
Is anybody home?
I don't know, let's have a look. Can you hold your torch? Oh, amazing! There's a baby horn shark in here with its egg yolk still. He is so beautiful.
See him breathing.
He's swimming around.
Whoa, let's come back in about 6 months and see if he's hatched.
That is incredible. Let's put it back down in here.
Somewhat reluctantly, we left the sand flats and spectacular kelp forests and headed out to the open ocean. We had one particular creature in mind, but en route we met others.
While enjoying the dolphins that escorted us, we kept a lookout for more kelp. It's difficult to find in such an expanse of blue, and of course surprising that kelp should be found at all in water thousands of feet deep. But eventually, we were successful. And under the canopy were the familiar coastal animals seeking shelter. Here we are under another kelp canopy, except for this one has a difference. It's no longer attached to the kelp forest floor. It is now drifting miles out in the Pacific Ocean. This kelp plant has been uprooted, it's been drifting for days, and we're drifting with it.
Underneath this kelp patty is a colony of animals, small juveniles as well as some adults. When they break away from the reef, they can drift thousands of miles to another island group. When this washes up on a beach, all the animals living underneath it now will leave the kelp and recolonize another island.
But it's not only the kelp animals that shelter under these kelp patties. a lot of pelagic animals come in and maybe, just for a short while, take refuge here. Tiny little ones, as well as some really big fish. And there is one in particular that I think is quite bizarre, and that is the ocean sunfish, the mola mola.
I think quite bizarre is an understatement for that guy. It looks like his rear end is missing.
Seeing an ocean sunfish was a first for me and a delight. It was a brief encounter, but that didn't matter because our minds were preoccupied with something else. Now it was our turn to look unusual. Fully protected by chainmail suits and with a cage as a precautionary retreat, we were well prepared to face the sharks. These solitary predators usually roam the ocean and are rarely seen. So in order to get close, we had to attract them by baiting the water. Some hours later, they arrived.
Well, welcome to the world of blue sharks. How do you like it?
Well, I'm surprisingly unafraid. How do you think they would be? Are they reacting normally to us?
I didn't quite know how they would react. I didn't think they would look at us as food since they primarily eat fish. But I also didn't think they would be quite as curious. I thought something as alien to the pelagic environment as us, cage and all of this garb, keep their distance a little bit more, but they don't seem to mind it.
Isn't that fantastic? Surprised we've got so many big ones. I thought they'd be smaller than this.
You thought we would run into juveniles, or you just didn't know blue sharks got this big?
Well, I didn't realize they got this big, really, I suppose.
But they just come up and, as much as you can tell from an eye like that, appear to look you right in the eye. What in the world are you? Well, tell me, Martha, have you ever seen one up close? Oh, look, here's a female. Those probably are mating scars. The scarring, when they mate, is a very violent thing. The male grabs her in various places because in open water there's no other place to hold on. But the females are built for this. They have a much thicker skin than the males do. So actually all of that is accounted for in their physiology. Look at the size of those pectoral fins.
Absolutely perfectly designed for cruising, aren't they?
Yeah. Everything about these seems long, doesn't it? Nose, pectoral fins.
Yeah, they're beautifully streamlined, aren't they?
Wow! Hello! God, the blue color is so obvious the closer you get.
Very iridescent.
No question why they call them blue sharks. The dappling of the sunlight across their backs. It's amazing.
It's extraordinary the way they come up to you. And just as they open their jaws, you can see their eyes close with the nictitating membrane, and they blind themselves.
It looks weird, doesn't it? I guess that's better than having a fish bone poke you in the eye, though.
Absolutely. The design and elegance of these sharks, so perfectly adapted for hunting and cruising the open ocean, was humbling. We were left feeling somewhat graceless and awkward by comparison. But it's the excitement of being surrounded by sharks, and of course the wonder of swimming through the forests of kelp, that that make Californian diving rather special.